Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I hope that this presentation is okay. I have been excited about doing it for you all morning. This is Easter Day, and I was so excited because I woke up this morning after all of these years listening to messages and making messages, and I asked myself, what can I say today that will be different than what I've said any other day, especially last Easter? What message can I deliver? And so that was my prayer, and I left it for that. And I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that all of a sudden it appeared to me that on this Easter morning, when we think about everybody else who might put on their pretty dresses and nice clothes, I'm from down south in Mississippi, and on Easter Day, I mean, the sun is shining, the grass is green and blowing, and the eggs are hid out there, and then get a little message inside. The kids come outside, start searching for those eggs, and it's a grand day. Up south, up north, it's a little different. You know, you got the snow, we won't be doing that. But some people do things in their homes, and everything is real good. This is the day that Jesus rose from the dead. Is that right? Is this symbolic to the day of Jesus' resurrection? Out of all the things that Jesus went through, the whole message that Jesus came and delivered, all capitalized and set up on a pedestal on this particular day, resurrection. And I wonder if we got the message that Jesus brought. You know, came to set the captives free and do those kinds of things. And what captives would Jesus be referring to? Who is captive here? And then you wonder, because, you know, who's the captives got to be the other people. They definitely aren't us. You know how we point that finger. And so who is Jesus? Or even at that time, perhaps we can understand, but in today's living, who and what does this actually represent? To the extent it means something, it will engage us, to involve us, to be able to, when the kids come to the Capitol and say we are tired of being molded down with guns and want you to do something about it, we would actually consider doing something about it as opposed to slapping them in the face for complaining. But anyway, on this Easter day of resurrection, before we spent a lot of time, I have listened to the story of Jesus' life. We talk about that Calvary. I remember one of the first songs I sang as I was a little boy, singing, "On a hill far away, stood an old rugged cross." What was that? New Bethel? No, it wasn't New Bethel. That was Mount Carmel, you know, down in Mississippi. AME. And so you're thinking about, here we are, whole thing. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to look at it like that. It's too, looking at little this and that is something that I don't have to look at anymore. It's like playing music, a piano. When you're learning it, you got to learn all those little incidentals and all of this and all of that. No, it just looks so much. But when you know how to play, whether you can play by ear, read what, it's just natural. It flows natural. And so while there might have been times that I had to look and see every detail of life, I've gone through what I've had to go through to learn what I have been given to share with you. And the whole point of it, when Jesus came, I want to say it. I asked the Spirit to give me a way to say it to you that I haven't said before. And here it comes. Let's begin looking at the world as they say Adam and Eve were in the garden. The message has been established that mankind was given the world, the earth as it is, to do with as he would. And there was certain paths that would lead to this continual life, and there were others that would destroy you. It would kill you, take your life. And it was a very simple matter. Well, it might not have been that simple. It seems simple to us because it says, don't do that. Don't eat of this. Whatever that means, that we're gonna restrict it to don't bite off this. We're not gonna interpret that in anything beyond don't bite off this. He said don't bite off this. And so mankind, the story goes that mankind couldn't hold to that. Mankind bit off that. And having bit off that, we today usually think that to say that you'll surely die means that your body ends and you flip and you're in the ground. That might be an expression of what death or dying means, but I'm sure it's not limited to that. It also can include, and does, losing your mind or losing your ability to think, losing your ability to understand. These things that are not here anymore are dead. So apparently everything was fine until they made that decision to try something else. And from that day to this very day that we're celebrating Jesus' resurrection on, mankind have maintained that path. There have been men that have come and gone that have chosen to walk the other path, to walk the path of righteousness. Very few of them are here today, because when you're walking the path of righteousness, the light shines so bright that you cannot hide it. So when we are here today from that point in time to this point in time, and it's easy to understand what we are trying to achieve here. And in this life, we're trying to achieve satisfaction. We're trying to enjoy this life. We're trying to get the best out of this life that we can. And it's just not I or you, it's all of us. We were made that way. The ability, oh man, looks like I'm going to go into it a little bit anyway. The ability to make it exactly like you want it has been provided for by that same power that provided you and gave us one another. And so understanding and receiving that of God, we would have heaven on earth. For those of you who haven't listened to my videos, I talk about it all the time, almost on every video. So what has happened here is that this here whole earth where humankind exists is not godly. The principles behind the living of we human beings is anti-God. We, rather than produce heaven in our lives, we are producing hell. All over the globe, nobody is excluded. All that exists today on this earth is in the same operation, this hellishness. If it were not, this hellishness would change, or this thing would have been eradicated, stopped one way or another. And the fact that it continues to exist, it is being used as a tool because it must represent something good. And it is allowed to continue to exist so that those of you who got a kind heart, who want to do good, and you see this and it makes you feel good that you're actually doing something. But in truth, the only reason you'll continue to allow it to do it outside of this deception thing that you now believe is that it works for that bad, that destruction and that hellishness here. It works for that. It keeps you quiet. It keeps you satisfied. But I'm just going to leave it right there. The Jesus message comes into the world at a time that you could understand would be today. And everybody wants Jesus because Jesus has represented what no other could represent. So the overall power goes after Jesus, not Republicans or Democrats or capitalism or socialism, not those. The one that seeks after Jesus is the spiritual powers behind all evil that seeks after Jesus. The spiritual power behind all evil. Now, maybe flesh might not even know anything more than when Jesus walked amongst mankind. But what is happening is that power is trying to get Jesus to work for Satan. And Jesus living on this earth sees what's going on. Today, what would that mean if Jesus was living on this earth today? Our number one concern is survival. All of our concerns are survival. Always is survival. There are people who seem to be doing well. There are people who seem not to be doing so well, and even a little less. And then those a little less, and those a little less. And there are those that downright destitute. So Jesus' message on this earth was to say this: I came to free you from the bondage that you're in. You do not know the truth. The truth is that you are somebody. You are a child of God. And you're not beholden to anyone but God. And the evidence of your beholden to God is in your commitment and dedication to one another. That's what Jesus is saying. And so when you walk across out here in America, and you can be let's say an athlete, and that's great. We all thank God for the athletes. It doesn't matter which one, basketball, football, or whatever the others are. Or you could be a painter. Doesn't matter. You could be whoever you are, a great painter. We thank God for you. A builder, architect, all the things that exist in the world today as far as careers, we thank God for every last one of them. And that you are in this world to do the things that you do. But you were in this world to create heaven. But in order to create heaven, there are different principles that you have to follow. And you don't know what they are. You are constantly being deceived by everybody. And those that have been blessed, for some strange reason, there are those, I don't know what the reason might be, that God chose to give information to some that he had not given to others, and yet required, by giving it to some, that they give it to everybody else. Not just in words, but in deed. That's why those of you who say you had an out-of-body experience and you died and you were headed up to these lights and they told you now is not your time, go back. What do you think you're coming back for? Just to say what you say and then go along with everything that happens in the world every day? Hey, baby, you should be the first one to come back and see the pain and suffering and stand against the pain and suffering. Why? Because you know you're not limited to just this right here. So this is the message of Jesus. To free you, to let you know the truth. You are not bound in these bodies here. You are here for a time. And really, you are probably here, as I see it, because we deserve to be here. We ain't deserve to be in no heaven. And for those of you who talk about heaven a lot, you make heaven look so bad. Heaven is a place where you sit around Jesus all day, walk around milk and honey, singing these songs. I want you to know that that is not necessarily the only things that are happening. I'm sure laughter, parties, dancing, singing, sailing, flying, all the things that bring you joy will still be happening. And as time passes and we progress, we will be doing other things. Like somebody said one day, we might be flying like we had wings. I don't know. But it's unlimited when you're free to grow, free to create. And the only way you can do that is taking man off, because man is a crook. We are living in hell. Jesus says, the way to free yourself from this man, to free yourself from this system, to free yourself from this world that is constantly denying God, is to do what? Ignore this man and stand up for what's good. Stand up for what is right. And either the world will change or you will be killed. You will be killed. You're not going to be walking around here on this earth a righteous man standing against poverty, standing against crime, standing against violence, standing against hatred, standing against racism, standing against bigotry, standing against war, standing against guns, standing against trying to go back to yesterday. No, a righteous person? No way. You might have thought you were righteous. You might even walk around and try and tell yourself you are righteous, but the evidence is that you are no different than anybody else. You might be a little worse because you think you know and still can't be moved. Yes, my friends, this is what I'm saying. Hell is. So the purpose for Jesus Christ today, the resurrection, is to let everybody know that you can stand against this monkey and what is this monkey? The world system. And when you're taken out, your life is not over. Now, we all say, well, we don't know. But we saw, according to the information, we saw Jesus dead. We saw Jesus go in the ground. We saw Jesus on a certain day come back and show you his hands. I'm back. If I'm back today, doggone it, I didn't have to come back, stayed over there. I come back to let you know that it ain't over. And yet we sit here with all of that information, waiting for Jesus to come back and deliver us. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why nobody's going to just take a person to heaven that doesn't want to be there, who haven't played a part in creating heaven. You see, even in heaven, you're vulnerable. According to the story, that was in existence. And one amongst them started I don't know what this narcissistic stuff they talk about, saying he's beautiful, most important, most worthy, running his big mouth, talking like I'm talking now. But I ain't talking for me. I'm talking for power that you can't see, that's in you, that you're going to help create, not me. And so, they say corrupted, a third of the heavenly host had to be kicked out, which means it's not accepted there. It's not accepted there. And it even in righteous not, evil ain't accepted there. And here in hell, righteousness is not accepted here. And that's why Gandhi, I'm just naming a few people that you might know. Gandhi, Dr. King, Malcolm X. And they say Abraham Lincoln. I don't know, but I'm not going to take it from him because you killed him. They say John Kennedy. I don't know, but I'm not going to take it from him because you killed him. And John Brown. I don't know, but I'm not going to take it from him because you killed him. And those other people, you know, people who engaged deeply to the extent that they were still murdered. People that we don't even know. The 3 young men down in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that white woman that they always talk about from Detroit. They were just a small number of people that we're not that familiar with. All over the world that has happened. And I'm telling you right now, the message of Jesus for anybody calling themselves a Christian is not calling down no angels trying to say Donald Trump or whatever Donald Trump is about. Is that you are empowered to stand up for what is right. And what is right is that which is works for everybody and cause no pain and suffering to anyone. And if you cause them pain and suffering, you need to listen. But I can say that Jesus' resurrection guarantees that if you're led by the Spirit of the living God, you will go through whatever you have to go through to represent righteousness. And you will receive the benefit thereof. And all this other stuff, all this resting down here in hell, everywhere we are, this Easter and the next Easter to come, if we're here, we are deserving to be here. Because every day we are called upon to lift up God. That's the story of Jesus. Resurrection Day. This Easter, as far as I'm concerned, is Resurrection Day. And I'm hoping that those of you who heard what I'm saying today and have heard it, that it will mean something to you, that it will motivate you to become more than just a tool of the system. And yes, I said it, a tool of the system. And a tool of the system that tears down, destroys, and all this kind of stuff. And, oh, yeah, I said it. I'm talking about lifting up God in such a way that these people who find their benefit in abusing don't have to do that anymore. It is all over because it is designed that we engage ourselves in life, and life is before us. We don't have to buy it. We can't buy life. We are life. Engage ourselves and live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your time on this Easter 2023.